All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. The sound should be good, man. I turned the volume all the way up on this. The sound should be pretty solid. You still probably have to turn it up pretty high, but let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the body game method. Losing your stubborn fat. A lot of you guys struggle with a lot of stomach fat, a lot of body fat, and you guys are not comfortable taking your shirt off, right? Or you wear a lot of baggy shirts and shit like that because you're not confident. And you feel like shit 24/7 because you have inflammation because when you're overweight, when you're obese, you're gonna have inflammation. Your mindset's not gonna be where it needs to be. Your testosterone is gonna be lower, right? Obviously, because your body fat is higher, and body fat is estrogenic. Also, you won't be wearing what you want to wear. Your confidence will be gone because you won't be keeping commitments to yourself. So I'm going to walk you guys through in detail, legit, straightforward. This is not going to be very hard to implement, right? Exactly how to become aesthetic and finally be comfortable with your shirt off, right? Have that shoulder waist ratio that you want. If you haven't seen your abs in years, see your abs. A lot of people think that, oh my God, I'm 30, I'm 35, I'm 40, I'm 50, I can't see my abs. Yes, you can. It's a body fat percentage thing. Like if you saw your abs when you're 18, 20, and you think it's too late because you're 25, 30, you can definitely see them if you lock in. So I'm going to walk through all of that in detail, very, very straightforward. Now, this video is not for you. You already know the drill. It's not for you if you make excuses and you're lazy as shit, okay? You're not going to make any progress in any program ever if you make excuses and you're lazy as shit. All right? Anybody can make excuses, but those who refuse to make excuses always make progress. All right? If you're lazy, you won't be successful in anything unless you inherit money, but you're not going to inherit a good physique. Period. If you don't want to lose fat and maintain muscle, this is not for you. If you're trying to lose weight on the scale, then just go do some goofy ass diet or some shit like that. If you complain about things that you aren't willing to work for, that's one of my pet peeves. Listen, it takes you a long time to get super, super out of shape. So in order to get in shape, it's going to also take time, which is fine, right? It's not going to take as long as it did take for you to get out of shape, but it's still going to take time to get in shape, obviously. Like if it took you 10 years to gain 70 pounds, you can lose that 70 pounds in a year, which is 1/10 of the time, which is way faster, right? Now, if you're not willing to improve your nutrition, because that's going to be 80% of your results, to be honest, somewhere close to 90 sometimes, that'll be majority of your results. If you work out as hard as you can and you go super hard, you work out harder than me, which I think the majority of people work out harder than I do, just not as consistently as I do. And then their nutrition isn't on par. I see people work super hard in the gym 2 hours, but their nutrition isn't on par, so they're not going to get results. And if you're not willing to be disciplined, discipline is doing what you don't always want to do, all right? Doing what you need to do, even if you don't feel like doing it, ignoring emotions, ignoring excuses, and really showing up no matter what. Now, this video is for you if you're not comfortable with your shirt off. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, like I'm going to show you exactly how to get comfortable with your shirt off. And a lot of my clients, they're like, yeah, bro, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to take my shirt off, blah, 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 all this stuff. And now they're comfortable taking their shirts off because it's real. When you really start to focus on the solutions that you want, on the life that you want, it can happen. A lot of you guys think it's just over for you. Like, yeah, man, I'll never be able to take my shirt off again. If you think like that and you continue to eat how you're eating, you're just going to make the situation worse and you're not going to go in the direction you want to go in. If you're constantly wearing those baggy shirts because you're ashamed of your physique, this video is for you. If you're constantly failing to get the aesthetic look, good shoulder waist ratio, I know a lot of people who go to the gym, they kind of do stuff that they see online and then some stuff they remember from wrestling or football or basketball back in the day when they were in high school, and then some other random stuff that they see someone do in the gym. And they kind of put all that together and they have an incomplete routine, right? Because you're doing some performance stuff, you're doing some bodybuilding stuff, you're doing some aesthetic stuff, but then you're doing some calisthenics, but you're not mixing them together well, right? So you end up doing like a half-ass full body workout and you don't see results, all right? If you're sick of being woman's last option and getting ghosted and getting disrespected, because they will disrespect you if you look like you don't respect yourself, which that's what a physique shows. I don't care what anybody says. When you see a physique, you're like, oh, this guy respects himself. Wow, like always, always, it's going to be a point of conversation if you're in shape because it's rare. All right, whether you're on a date or whether you're meeting up, whether you're doing anything, it's always going to be the first thing that people notice. All right. If you want to see your abs and get on body game, this video is for you. Like I said, a lot of you guys act like abs is like this magical thing. It's what happens when you get lean. Period. You lift weights, you're doing compound movements, and you get to a certain body fat percentage, you will see your abs. Unless you're just, yeah, it's just you're gonna see your abs. Period. All right, now in reality, I know losing fat could be a struggle because majority of it is mental. The results are physical, but it's all mental because you have to change your mindset, right? So if you're out of shape, frustrated with stubborn fat, and you hate endless cardio, this is good because this is exactly what I'm going to focus on in this video is doing minimal cardio, the method that actually works. You don't need to be doing endless cardio, 2 hours of cardio on the treadmill and just burning through muscle and then expecting to burn fat and expecting to be lean. It's not going to happen. You probably try some diets, some hours of cardio, cutting out foods you love. The results don't last. All right. That's what's going to happen. When you try diets, when you do keto, I always say keto and shit like that. Carnivore. I know some of you guys are saying carnivore like, oh my god, I'm seeing results. Obviously, because you're in a calorie deficit for the first time in your fucking life. All right, and you're eating high protein for the first time in your life. Congratulations. Now, a lot of the weight loss you'll see, like I said, is some muscle glycogen here and there, things like that. All right, but if you get in a deficit with or without carbs, right? Preferably with carbs because it just makes more sense, you are going to see that you're going to lose fat. Now, if you try a bunch of diets or hours of cardio, you're going to lose a lot of muscle glycogen. You're going to feel shitty. Your body composition is going to go downhill, right? And you're going to have higher risk of like loose skin and stuff like that, which is exactly why you want to make sure that you're not doing it that way. And it's unsustainable because you'll tire out quicker. But yeah, I'm going to show you exactly how to drop fat, how to get on body game for real. Because a lot of you guys ask the question, take this shit seriously, take notes, and you will get results. Like, it's going to fucking happen. There's only a 100% chance if you follow this shit, you will get results. That's just how it works. All right. A lot of you guys think it's like some magical shit. Anyways, my story, like when I got fat as shit, you see what I'm saying? All this goddamn acne on my face and shit because I got fat as shit, right? I was going through a toxic breakup. I know a lot of us been through that shit. But when you're going through that, it's like you're trying to stay positive, you're trying to stay on the grind, trying to do what you need to do, but then you're fighting back and forth, you're fighting through text, you're doing all that bullshit. You know, this was before I was, Himothy basically. But I got super fat, developed bad eating habits after work. Like I would work overnight, which freaked up my schedule. And then I would you know, I would end up going home and I'm like, damn, I didn't eat anything today. I need to eat something. I'm human. I gotta eat something. I deserve food after a long shift. And then, just kept progressively overloading McDonald's breakfasts. Shit started off with a sausage egg McMuffin and a hash brown. Now, calorically, that's not the worst. Obviously, that's like a lot. That's a lot of fat, right? But then it ended up being, and realistically, this is what a lot of you guys eat too, calorie wise. That's why you get fat, but you guys just don't realize it because you don't pay attention. But I used to do two sausage egg McMuffins, two hash browns. That is 400. That's like 1,500 calories plus hotcakes and syrup. That's like 3,000 calories after work. And I probably ate something, before then too. So I probably had like 4,000 calories a day. That's how I was getting fat. That's why I say, and I got up to 226, 230. I stopped weighing the scale. I threw the scale away. I even stopped. That was like the first time in my Instagram posting history I stopped posting recent shit. I was posting like old shit only because I was like, yo, I look fat as fuck, bro. So I was just posting old shit, right? Like I said, I wasn't really looking in the mirror and I was losing confidence. And I remember going back home and I was working out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my arms were honestly when I'm like fat, my arms look smaller because my protein intake is kind of the same. My stomach and titties just overtake that shit. Like your stomach and titties and freaking yeah, all the lower back fat and shit is just gonna make your arms look smaller because the ratio, right? So people were like, "Oh, what happened? Why'd you stop working out?" Like that was the first time people said that shit. Because every time I used to go back home, they used to be excited and shit. But they're like, "Oh, damn, you stopped working out." I was like, "Damn, that's how cooked I am, bro." So I had to really lock in and look internally and be like, I say I want to be lean, but my actions are the opposite. Like I said, I want to be the leanest version of myself. Why am I going through this drive-through? I said I want to be the leanest version of myself. Why am I not even tracking what I'm eating? Why is my protein intake so low? Why am I making excuses as to why I'm eating candy or why I'm eating this when in reality, like I said, you make excuses or you make progress. But if I keep making the excuses and not getting the results, the excuses are the reason I'm not getting the results. Like literally, I would be like, dang, bro, like that's not fair. I'm a personal trainer. I should be able to, lean out. It's like, no, like the calorie deficit and results don't care who you are. They care about the work you put in. So if you don't do what you need to do, you're not going to get the results you want. It does not matter. All right. But that was the first time in a while that I like lost my confidence for real, and I felt like I had no aura. But it was really the real confidence thing. Like the real confidence loss was I wasn't keeping commitments to myself because I knew I wasn't my best self. Like when you're not lean as a man, you're not your best self. You're just not. You're just not. You're not in the best mindset. You're not keeping commitments to yourself. You don't have as much energy and ambition as you can. Like you're not gonna wake up with energy. Like, I still wake up with energy. It doesn't matter how. It's not the calorie intake. It doesn't matter what my calorie intake is. I'm waking up with energy. If I eat 1,800 calories, I'm still waking up with energy and ambition. All right. Now, the main reason I was able to like lose fat for real, is because I didn't do any of the temporary stuff, and I focused on identity shifting because I was thinking about it in the compound effect, of course. But I was thinking about it. I was like, yo, if I just eat what I would eat at my goal self, then won't I eventually be my goal self? Like if I eat like I'm 10% body fat now, as far as like the foods I'm incorporating and the stuff I say no to, like if I cut out the wine, I cut out the cookies and pizza and the candy, you know what I mean? And I focus primarily on the egg whites, the high protein foods, and that's all I'm eating. eventually I'm going to get to that 10% body fat self. Now, I got to a place where I gained a lot of fat, so I have to track calories, of course, but focusing on, incorporating those foods and thinking about food differently. Hey, food is not a reward after you had a hard day at work. You know what I mean? Like, results don't care about that stuff. Like, we care about that. We attach emotions to it. A lot of people will tell me as if I am results, right? Like, no, results care about the work you put in. But people will tell me, like, well, I had a hard day at work, I had to eat that. What? Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, results don't look at it that way. They're not like, okay, he had an emotional bad day. Let me still give him results. No, if you ate more than you should, you are gaining fat. That is science. All right, I can't change science for you. Now, like I said, I was focused on identity shifting. I wasn't trying to lose it all at once. That was one of the biggest factors. I wasn't trying to just lose that shit overnight. Like I know a lot of people try to. They're like, nah, bro. Like some okay. So some dude just hit me up on Instagram. He's like, yeah, man. Like I just need a faster way to lose fat. And then I was like, what are your goals? And he was just like, I just want to lose fat and tone up real quick. And then I was like, hold on, this sounds familiar. Scroll up. This dude has been the same size for the past 4 years, asking the same fucking questions because he's gonna do the same thing because he has the same expectations. He wants to lose fat fast, right? Even though he's gaining fat slowly over the years, right? He's gained he's gained some fat over the years, but he's literally gained, like I said, he's gained some fat over the years because he's unwilling to do, the small changes and compound that over time. Because between the time he asked me my first question and the question he asked today, if he was literally just eating high protein and slowly scaling back on calories, he would have been lean, years ago. But a lot of people are always like, nah, I gotta lose it all at once. It's like, dude, you didn't gain it all at once, so stop trying to lose it all at once. Gradually reduce the calories and stay meticulous with your intake. When you are consistent with your intake, right? Like, for example, if you get into a 700 calorie deficit or a 750 calorie deficit, somewhere around there, if you're meticulous with your intake, it'll be good. If you kind of eat extra stuff and you don't track it, you'll be basically at maintenance and you know, you won't be losing as much as you can. But when you're meticulous with it, you'll see the progress you need to see. But also, since it's 750 and not like 1200 or not like 1500 deficit, it'll be more sustainable. So it's like, okay, I could do this all day, man. I got all this protein. My strength is still up. And you might actually get stronger in your cut. Like I got stronger in my cut. My arms got a little bit bigger on my cut. My shoulders stayed the same size, but with the smaller waist, obviously it looked way, looks way bigger. So focus on keeping strength, especially as a natural. You got to focus on your strength. All right. Now, here's step one. All right, is going to be executing your nutrition. This is literally the reason I put this first because this is non-negotiable. This must be like your nutrition has to be on track. All right. A lot of people tend to focus on the cardio, the working out. Like, how long should my workouts be? How much cardio should I do? Like, am I sleeping optimally? Like, am I taking what supplements should I take? Supplements, working out, good sleep, a bunch of cardio can't outdo bad nutrition. So nutrition is the number one thing you need to focus on. All right. So zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound lean body mass protein. I always say per pound lean body mass because a lot of people are fat as shit. They're like 400 pounds. So you can't eat 400 grams of protein. You're just going to be shitting your brains out. Right. And your kidneys will just disappear. So you need to focus on the lean body mass. So if you're 50% body fat and you're like 400 pounds, then 200 pounds will be your lean body mass. Zero point 0.8 of that will be like 160. So that'll be your minimum, right? Which is more than enough to build muscle, all right? That's more than enough to build muscle and lose fat, to be honest. And it's gonna be more sustainable. The reason I do like 150 grams of protein is so I can fit in a lot of fats because I like to keep my fats high, or I can eat some potatoes. Or if I want to eat 2 cups of rice that day, it's gonna be easy to eat 2 cups of rice that day, right? I know you guys are like, oh my God, don't eat white rice. It's bad for you. Type 2 diabetes. Like, you guys don't know anything about blood sugar. Clearly, you can eat hella white rice, lower your A1C, get rid of type 2 diabetes while eating white rice. It's like, it's all about moderation. Anyways, I like the fats to be moderate just to keep your testosterone high. Prep your meals. All right. If you don't prep your meals, you already lost. I don't want to hear it. If you don't prep your meals, you already lost. All right. And if you don't eat the same things every day, or eat very similar foods every day, you lost again. And if you don't track every little morsel of food that you eat, you lost again. Because a lot of people get lost with the oils and the ranch, right? That's like one of the things that get lost with oils, ranch, and then I just had a handful of cashews. Oil, ranch, handful of cashews, that's an extra 500 calories. You're out your deficit. You're at maintenance. All right, very simple shit. And don't cut bread, salt, all sugar, and all that dumb shit. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, unless you have gluten intolerance and stuff like that, obviously. So don't come in here and be like, well, I have gluten intolerance. That makes sense, so cut it out. But yeah, I'm eating hella bread. I'm eating white rice, right? I'm eating high fat, and I'm still losing fat. Why? Because there's something called a calorie fucking deficit, all right? And the people who are, heavier or have a lot of fat is because excessive cookies, excessive pizza, excessive liquor, all right? Obviously, no liquor. That's like a bare minimum. If you're not willing to give up liquor to get lean, I mean, that means you're alcoholic. Just go to detox. All right, and focus on whole foods because they have the most nutrients for sure, and it'll keep your vitamins and minerals high while you're cutting. Because if you just eat a bunch of like Pop Tarts and stuff in a deficit, your vitamin A and C and B, all that stuff will be low. You'll feel like shit. Step two, strength training. Now, if I didn't strength train, spam pull ups and rows and stuff, I wouldn't have this V taper. I wouldn't have this V taper. I wouldn't have this muscle mass. All right. And maintaining my strength is very, very important. That's what I focus on. Cardio, um, you know, of course, of course, I am the number one skipper of cardio in American history, right? Top three, not one or two. I mean, not two or three. All right, so strength train 4 to 5 times a week. Make sure you get your strength up. Use compound movements. Compound movements give you the highest return on investment, right? Because if you're strength training 4 to 5 times a week and you're doing compound movements every single day, right? Obviously, different ones for different days, but you're doing like squats, goblet squats. You're doing deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts. You're doing, bench press, like Smith machine, all that stuff. You're working your core every day as well, and you're putting it under heavy loads. So your abs are gonna be popping when you get lean. All right. Keep your rep range here, hypertrophy rep range. Don't do 1 to 4. That's for strength shit. Don't switch to light weights and do like 20 to 60 reps. That's for steroid users, right? And track your weights and make sure that you're progressively overloading or at least maintaining your weight, all right? Obviously, with like the squats, deadlifts, and barbell rows and flat bench press, mass will move mass, and incline bench press. Mass is gonna move mass. Dumbbells, you'll be hitting around the same weight when you get lean. But here at 185 versus me at like 230, I mean, I'm gonna be moving the percentages. I'm lifting more percentage wise, but instead of what did I do the other day? I mean, the other day I did 550 on deadlifts, but I mean I wasn't really warmed. I did squats before and leg press. I was dumb. But the most I've been able to do at 185 was 600 on deadlift. But when I was 215 ish, I was doing like 650. And then squats, you know what I mean? I'm able to do like 420 at 185, but I can rep 405 at 210. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be differences for sure. And then flat bench, now I could do 365 for only one. But I was able to do that for like 4 to 5 when I was 205. So you're gonna lose strength on those movements because mass moves mass, which is why you'll see powerlifters who weigh like 300 pounds are lifting like 315, which is the least impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's why you'll see that because mass is gonna move mass. All right, and you're eating hella carbs because they're eating like 4,000 calories a day, so they're gonna be able to move more weight because they just have more energy in them. All right, but as far as like the accessory movements, you should be lifting about the same weights in like side raises, dumbbell curls, shoulder press, like leg extensions, leg press, all that stuff should be pretty close. But like the compound movements is usually harder to stay stronger. But you're gonna maintain majority of muscle mass as long as you don't go down like 20% in weight or 30% in weight. You might go down up to 5%. I mean, yeah, down 5% in some stuff like the flat barbell. All right, now let me explain why you want to minimize, cardio when you are actually. This is when you're locked in on nutrition, though. This is locked in on nutrition. All right, this is locked in on nutrition. So yes, cardio is going to burn calories, right? And obviously, you know, strength training tells your body to keep muscle, right? So if you're in a deficit and all you're doing is cardio, your body's like, I bet we don't need all this muscle. That's why you see longer distance runners have less muscle mass because it's not conducive to what they're doing. Even with boxing, I have to scale back and adjust my calories and shit because I doing 4 days of boxing, you don't need muscle. Like I would move way faster. I would move way faster if I was like 175 with less muscle, right? And I'd be able to go from offense to defense way faster, way smoother. My punches would be obviously stronger because I'm smoother, right? I don't have muscle tension and shit like that. So I'd be way smoother. So muscle isn't very conducive. That's why you see like Tyson Fury and I mean you got Joshua and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like the boxers some boxers have okay physiques, but they don't really have the most aesthetic physiques. The most aesthetic physiques would just be dudes who literally just lift fucking weights. Dudes who just lift weights or like sports athletes and stuff like that, who prioritize building muscle. Like they are, like I said, like some boxers are like 160 and they're like lean before their fight, but like throughout the year, because it is similar to bodybuilding and like the cutting aspect. Because most of them are like, they're like, okay, the dude looks, he's in training camp. He's he has some muscle mass, but then they like cut down hard for for the fight, and then that's when they start looking lean. But that's the only time they look lean is like getting rid of all the water weight. And that's a whole nother video. I got to teach you guys about like lighting and water weight. It makes a huge fucking difference. It's insane the difference it makes. You can look 20% body fat one day and 10% the next day based on lighting and water weight. But anyways, yeah, so that's why, like long distance runners tend to be way skinnier and have less muscle mass because it's not conducive to running long distances. Because if you are trying to save your energy while you're running long distances, having so much muscle is going to use so much, is going to require you to have a higher metabolism, which means you're going to have to use more energy to run further versus less muscle mass. You'll be able to run further with less energy, which means it'll be easier for you to run further, obviously. And then, of course, too much cardio is going to increase recovery demands. So for like me, when I used to do, I remember I saw on TikTok, everyone was like, 10K steps is so fun, 10K steps. And I was like getting pretty lean without 10K steps. And I was like, okay, let me throw it in there. And my weightlifting sessions I was doing 5 days a week, they're pretty intense. They're like 60 to 70 minutes of heavy weights, but very short breaks, but heavy weights. So like 60 to 90-second breaks. If I'm doing like, I end my push day with triceps, right? So if the push down is not taken, I will do 4 sets of like 6 to 10 with 315 on a flat bench, like close grip, right? So that's what I would be doing, and like 90-second breaks in between. So that's the kind of lifting I would do. So when I added in the 10K steps, I could not recover to save my life, and then my body composition actually suffered, and I was like, what is going on? And that it just means that my performance was dropping because I was, breaking down muscle for energy, gluconeogenesis, but I was breaking down muscle for energy, and also I didn't have enough recovery demand because the interference effect. Like if you're trying to recover from intense cardio and intense lifting, like that's gonna be very hard in the deficit. Now, it's very easy to like if you're like 10% body fat already, you want to stay there, and you want to do cardio and you want to do weightlifting, just eat at maintenance. That'll be way easier. But if you're trying to lose fat, you're gonna put stress on your body, so it's gonna have to pick between like, hey man, I can't, doing all this cardio, I don't need all this muscle because I don't have enough calories to fuel both, right? And then of course, like if you do a bunch of hit cardio, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna have more hunger and cravings and stuff like that. But also you're gonna be craving more than you burn. Like if you burn 400 calories by doing sprints and running, like long distances, you're going to be craving like 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories, right? So it's going to just lead you to you overeating, which is going to cancel out the calorie burn, right? Because a lot of cardio is going to spike your appetite hormones, all right? So that's the reason that happens. Because I noticed too. I noticed too. I get my leanest and most aesthetic when I just literally cut out cardio and focus on lifting weights and maintaining muscle mass. That's number one. Number two is when I've done like the sprints and I've done the 20K steps and all that stuff, I just honestly my performance definitely suffers as far as like lifting weights, but my body composition does not improve. I just lose muscle, right? Which is not beneficial to obviously an aesthetic look. All right. Another thing is your stress hormone cortisol is, it's going to be up when you're doing a bunch of cardio, which means you're going to hold on to more water. You're going to be bloated. You're going to have more fat around the belly, more water around the belly. But your muscle loss risk is also going to be higher. Any muscle that you lose, your resting metabolic rate goes down, all right, which is a big deal. So if you start doing a bunch of cardio, you lose like 5 pounds of muscle, right? And your lean body mass was only 135. You just lost like, 7% of your muscle or whatever. So your metabolic rate is going to go down by like 150 to 200. So your current calorie deficit isn't going to be as effective, right? And then you won't be recovering. You'll feel like shit. Your stress hormone will be higher. So your body composition is going to go down. Everything's just going to be ass, all right? So the balance is use cardio as a supplement, not the main tool. All right. So if you plateau after being at like 2,300 calories, getting 5K steps a day and lifting 5 times a week, bump it up to 8K steps a day. All right. Bump it up to 10K steps a day. Keep it low intensity. Or keep it at 5K steps a day and then do 2 days of 30 minutes incline on the treadmill or 3 days of 30-minute incline on the treadmill, things like that, right? So the incline treadmill is low intensity, steady state. It's usually not that bad to like add that in there as long as you're getting sleep. The biggest issue is usually when you're like doing sprints and like you're running, long distances and putting a lot of stress on your body. All right, step four, accountability. So here's the thing. Here's the thing I learned about, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen some videos on TikTok and they're like, hey man, like you don't really need a trainer. And I'm like, maybe you don't. But what I realized over the years, it happens with everything I do. Like if I'm trying to improve business, if I want to improve my boxing skills, if I want to improve, credit or anything, I go to the experts that's all they do. And because they think the right way, they have the right perspective, and they've only seen success in that avenue. That's what I've noticed, right? So, for example, If you say some shit to me versus you say some shit to some dudes out of shape, it's gonna be completely different. Matter of fact, if I'm talking to people who are in shape versus out of shape, I see the difference. If I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just trying to cut down a little bit. If someone's out of shape, they're like, oh, you're already too skinny. You need to gain some weight. You're already doing fine. If I look like you, I would, all that goofy shit because they have low standards. All right. Versus if I have to say that to a lean person, they'll be like, yeah, man, you got this. You got this. Drop 2%. All you got to do is blah, 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 blah. And they'll kind of, talk like that. Right. But also the standard differences are way, way different. Right. So like for you, you might be like, for example, if you're like 40% body fat and because I know a lot of people and they'll be like, yeah, man, I usually lose 20 pounds and I look great. And I'm like, no, you don't. You lost 20 pounds and you're still fucking 30% body fat. You look like shit. Like, but in their head, they're like, I look better than everyone around me. You look like shit, dude. So when you're around someone who will hold you to that level, they'll be like, yo, their goal for you is to get to 10%. So when you get to 30 and you're about to celebrate, they're like, yo, you barely even started. You still look like shit. Your insulin resistance is still high. You still have, a bunch of cholesterol. You still have titties, bro. Like lock in. Because like I said, a lot of people they get to 25, 30%, which is pretty easy to do. It's fucking easy to get to 25, 30, 20% body fat, all of that shit. It's when you get below that the real shit starts. But like their standards are so low that they'll be like, nah, bro, I look good, man. This is the best I ever looked. And it's like, damn. Well, you should excel. You need to lock in and raise your standards. So being around people who raise your standards, that's how you're gonna raise your standards. So that is the purpose of a coach. Like for me, boxing. I can't self teach myself that shit. I don't know how to do that shit, right? Like, I would spend way more time because, I wouldn't realize that, oh, my footwork was a problem. Versus my coach would be like, hey, yo, why is your left foot over there, bro? You're throwing a hook. How is your left foot there? And you're like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that, right? So then, boom, from minute 1 to minute 60, I improved like, tenfold. All right, so let's get into these client results. Obviously, all of this, shout out to my brother, by the way, but all of this is literally just based on the method that I just told you guys. It's literally just focus on fat loss, not weight loss. This weight loss shit, the weight's gonna come off. Focus on motherfucking fat loss, all right? The weight will come off, all right? If you focus on weight loss, you might not lose fat. You might lose muscle. You're gonna lose water. But if you focus on fat loss, you're gonna lose fat, which is what improves body composition, all right? So, my brother Luke, he got up to 20% body fat, fattest he ever was. First time he ever lacked confidence that I fucking see. And first time he really wasn't getting attention from the huzz. And he was telling me, he's like, yo, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, they just tripping out here. I was like, bro, you look cooked, bro. You look pregnant, bro. You look like the final boss Haitian dad. Like you need to lock in on your nutrition. And then he was eating like the final boss Haitian dad, right? So being held accountable for changing the eating habits is what changed everything. All right. And then taking the workouts more seriously and really focusing on, the squats, which is the greatest shit for abs, I swear. Right, lower body is greatest for abs, like the squats and the lunges, and they're really focusing on the shoulder to waist ratio by actually hitting, the side delts, hitting the upper chest, all that stuff, right? So now you got the Greek god physique. He mogs me, right? I mean, I can't control that. He mogs the shit out of me, but it all stemmed from him realizing and having that epiphany, like, yo, I need to lock in on my motherfucking nutrition. All right, that's example number one. Client result number two. This is my Haitian nurse client, right? Resonated with me because I'm Haitian too, and I was talking about losing fat as a nurse, right? But she always worked long shifts. She struggled with belly fat. She had a kid, obviously. But after she had a kid, she's like, yo, I can't get this weight off. And I'm like, what are you eating? Right? And she's like, well, I'm eating dicole, avec pois rouge, and this, that. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like that shit does not have the same calories as regular rice and beans. So you need to lock in on your nutrition. So I had her eating like rice and chicken, but like a healthier version. And then she was the first 3 weeks she wasn't making much progress. I was like, okay, send me pictures of what the fuck you're eating because there's no way. So then she started sending me pictures of like the rice and chicken, and I'm like, this says 6 ounces of chicken breast, right? This says 1 cup of rice. What you just sent me, I can't even see the fucking plate. All right, and there's one piece of 1 ounce chicken wing. So she was still eating like 2 cups, like three. Let's be honest, 3.5 cups of rice to 4 cups of rice, and one chicken wing. So she was getting like, you know, 200 grams of carbs and like 10 grams of protein twice a day because she was doing chicken and rice twice a day. So then when we locked in on that, that's when she started really losing the fat, right? And then this is the first 12 weeks, and then this is the end result after 16 weeks. But my favorite thing about it was like she just thought, she just was like, yeah, I'm just always gonna have a big stomach, but if we reduce it by 2 inches, we're good. And then we start like weightlifting and just like not doing a lot of cardio. And she's like, hey, I've always done a lot of cardio. Can we incorporate that? And I'm like, no, we're not doing fucking cardio. We need to build muscle, speed up the metabolism, and focus on fat loss. All right, and focus on nutrition as well, honestly. So we increased the muscle mass, and then also built some muscle, like I said, and then we lost some fat. And Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because at the end, you know what I mean? She was like, yo, I'm gonna start running a mile, you know what I mean? Because I feel so good. I haven't felt this energetic in years. So it was really crazy to see that. But that just goes to show what happens when you lock in for real. All right, and then of course, shout out to my boy, man. He was like, yo, I can't see my abs no more, but that's cool, bro. I just want to kind of lean out my shoulders a little bit and do this and do that, make my chest look a little bit, but that's all I want to do. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like nutrition is a big percent of your results. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's like probably like 20%. I do need to lock in on it because I kind of eat whatever. I'm like, no, bro. It's like 80, 90%. He's like, yeah, it's like 20%. He didn't believe me, so I was like, okay, cool. So we really locked in on nutrition and focused on that. He was already doing some calisthenics and some weights, so we locked in on the nutrition. That's the main thing that changed, by the way. Like that's how significant the difference is just from nutrition, guys, in 12 fucking weeks. It's not like the workouts didn't change that much. Y'all be thinking like, I mean, as long as you're hitting all the muscles you need to hit, but a lot of you guys think that like, dang man, I gotta do a 2 hour workout 5 times a week. Like, no. If you're really efficient and really skilled, you can do a 45 to 60 minute workout, you know, 5 days of the week, 4 days of the week, and then really locking on the nutrition. But yeah, he stopped eating based on his cravings, and I'll never forget. It was week 4. I mean, he dropped an inch. You know what I mean after the first month, but he was getting into momentum because he was still getting used to how to eat. Like if you're perfect in the first month, you're gonna drop multiple inches, but it's hard to get perfect initially because you still have those bad habits. So he did all right the first month with nutrition, like 70% compliance. And then I remember like he dropped the inch and he's like, I dropped the inch, bro. I feel like I should celebrate. Could I have some pizza? I was like, nigga, fuck no, don't eat any pizza, bro. That's the reason you are where you are, right? Because you think food is for celebration. Food is fuel. Go home, cook your ground turkey. All right. Don't eat what you crave. Eat what you need to eat to get your goals. All right. Boom. 3 months later, he looks like this, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like this shit was it was crazy, right? And he could see his abs again. He had his confidence back. But I mean, there's some more photos because he had posted some photos, and he was looking crazy, man. He was looking crazy, shredded, like on body game now type shit. You feel me? That's what happens when you really lock in. Now, like I've been saying this whole time, it is a simple formula. All right. A lot of you guys overcomplicate it. It is a simple formula. Stop trying to focus on specific diets, blood type diets, water fasting, stupid shit. Stop focusing on that. High protein nutrition, tracking every calorie, and calorie deficit is all that matters. All right? That's what matters. You guys need to stop thinking it's like, no, I got to put these foods. Eat in a calorie deficit, bro. Just do that. If you weigh 250 pounds and you have insulin resistance, it doesn't fucking matter, bro. Because if you eat the right carbs in the right amount and you're in a deficit, you're going to lose fat and then visceral fat as well because you're eating healthy. And then guess what? Your insulin's going to start working like it needs to work. All right. Eventually, when your A1C goes down. All right. Stop being scared. Like the scared of carb shit is just. I listen. If you're scared of carbs, I really can't help you. This shit's just. It's just funny to me. It's like a fucking joke. Like you can eat. Everybody knows. Like if you have. That's why I tell you guys to hang around lean people too, and get lean so you can attract lean people and hang around lean people. But yeah, just watch what lean people eat, bro, especially lean athletes. That's why they eat so many carbs because they're utilizing most of it. It's the unused carbs. Like when before you worked out and you're sitting around all day eating Ben and Jerry's and cookies, you're not utilizing any of those carbs, and you already have a lot of fat. So it's like you've already stored the fat. I mean, you've already stored the glycogen. You already stored a lot of fat. So now it's this visceral fat around your organs and shit, right? Versus athletes, you feel me? Like, I was with my homeboy. We eating like 300 grams of carbs, bro. I mean, it's like pineapples and watermelon and shit, but we're utilizing it and we have muscle mass. So it's like, if your insulin is working, why are you scared of carbs? Be scared of carbs if your insulin isn't working. All right, because you have insulin resistance from being a high body fat percentage. But at the same time, if you're eating the right carbs and you're in a deficit, your A1C is going to go down, and it goes down pretty fucking quickly. It goes down pretty quickly when you lock in. All right, so here's the bottom line, guys. All right. You want the shoulders, the chest, the V cut, you want to see your abs and all that shit. All right. And by the way, I'm not even, like I said, I'm not even a bodybuilder. I don't do extreme shit. You see what I'm saying? I'm not doing any extreme shit. I keep it very simple. And like I said, if you were to follow me around for a day, yes, it'd be disciplined, but you'd be like, yeah, what's the secret? Stop playing with me. The secret is I do that shit 365 days a year. It doesn't matter what day it is. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing. It doesn't matter if I got a chick over, it doesn't matter if something bad happened. I'm hitting the same shit every day. I'm doing the same shit every day. Right? I'm hitting the same nutrition. Doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. If I don't have access to the foods, I'm gonna make it happen. All right. That's the thing about it. So it's not like I'm like, dude, I gotta go to the track 3 times a week and do these, do 6 200s. And then I have to lift weights 7 days a week. And then I have to fast for 48 hours. I'm not doing any of that shit. All right. None of that. You just have to show up consistently. Compound effect, guys. Show up consistently. It's the compound effect. So you make the choice. Pick between the pain of regret, which most people pick, or the pain of discipline. All right. Very simple. Now, link is in the description for those of you who are serious about getting lean, getting on body game, and you're seriously sick of just getting disrespected, not seeing your abs, not having the shoulder waist ratio that you want, right? If you're really serious and you're ready to go, link is in the description for one-on-one coaching. Stay blessed.